Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, today, on the eve of the International Mine Awareness Day, it's an absolute pleasure to have the opportunity to reiterate our shared commitment to one of the most pressing issues on the global scale and as well as Azerbaijan's national agenda, mine action. Landmines and exploded remnants of wars have long turned war zones into the death traps, thus hindering peace, development, and prosperity of nations for the decades after the conflicts are over. Fighting against and eradicating with seeds of death will require more consistent and resolute action on our part. Landmine legacy remains a top challenge for Azerbaijan in the post-conflict period. The resolution of the conflict has further unveiled the scale and scope of the mine contamination in the Azerbaijan's territories. Today, liberated lands of Azerbaijan, unfortunately, is one of the most contaminated lands maybe in the world. Millions of mines have been infested in the territories, and occupied territories throughout the 30 years of occupation has been destroyed, vandalized, and instead of the trees, landmines have been planted. But of course, Azerbaijani government will respond to this action with a message of construction, and we will put trees instead of the landmines. Overall, the Azerbaijani government's efforts in mine action are based on a long-term, comprehensive, and multifaceted approach that encompasses four interlinked objectives. First, certainly, the first and more immediate objective is to eliminate loss of lives. It's important to note that Azerbaijan is only involved in humanitarian mine clearance, and our aim is to clear land so that civilians can return to their homes without the threat of explosive hazards. However, and unfortunately, during the post-conflict period, over 30 deaths and 60 injuries have been recorded only among the civilians. All in all, more than 200 people have become victims of the mine incidents throughout these years. And we have reclaimed the maps of the landmine areas from the Republic of Armenia, but their accuracy level indicates only 25%. The second, more fundamental and long-term objective of the Azerbaijani government is to ensure safe, voluntary, dignified, and sustainable return of IDPs to their homes. This objective is directly interlinked with a large-scale reconstruction and rehabilitation activities that carried out currently in the liberated territories. And of course, the pace and scale of the work is dependent on the success of the mine clearance, and the government spares no efforts to maintain the balance between the speedy revival of the liberated lands and safe settlement of IDPs. Thirdly, in all its efforts to rebuild the liberated territories, the Azerbaijani government has prioritized improving integration between mine action and broader development planning and operation, as well as SDGs. We usually observe that in conflict and immediate post-conflict phases, mine action tends to pursue only immediate humanitarian objectives, rather than medium and long-term development-oriented goals. However, we believe that there is also much potential for mine action to prepare long-term integrated foundations on which sustainable peace and development can be built. Nevertheless, what we observe is that conflict-specific areas, such as mine action, are not explicitly identified on a global SDG scale, but are only being addressed through national adaptation processes. We believe that capturing the contribution of mine action to sustainable development on its right, on a larger scale, can facilitate integration, the efforts into broader national, sectoral, and international goals and targets. Another important aspect of policy making and international cooperation in mine action is a policy coherence, and this underpins all aspects of all the SDG design and implementation. Unfortunately, to some other sectors throughout the world, mine action is sometimes conducted in silo, removed from broader humanitarian and development activities. Exploring the interaction of mine action with other sectors such as agriculture, urban development, environmental protection, health, policy, education can be important steps toward ensuring policy coherence in mine action and SDG. Thus, considering its a cross-cultural nature, mine action needs to be understood with a more holistic approach and can be applied in a comprehensive framework such as sustaining peace and development. As a practical example of such a development, I am pleased to say that in our gathering today, different ministers of Azerbaijani cabinet, education, environment, healthcare, and some other ministers are also taking part. It once again demonstrates Azerbaijani government cross-sectorial approach to the mine problem. It's also important to note that resource mobilization for mine action remains an area of great concern. Unfortunately, recent numbers indicate that mine action financing trends have going downwards. We believe that in addition to assessed contribution, the potential of other alternatives such as trust funds can be further enhanced. Approaching the impacts of the mine action from the perspective of the SDGs can also provide additional funding opportunities. Last but not least, Azerbaijan's mine action prioritizes collaboration, building up and exchanging knowledge and experience, as well as raising the capacity of ANAMA. As our international partners have observed, Azerbaijan offers a unique model in terms of the scale of the mine contamination, as well as commitment and potential of the government to achieve landmine-free Azerbaijan. However, we believe that there is still a lot of room for improvement when it comes to joining efforts and enhancing cooperation. These collaborations, as well as public-private partnership, can be valuable platforms in terms of mine action financing, as well as fostering entrepreneurial spirit, innovation, knowledge, and technology transfer. Today, we would like to reiterate that in this new development area for Azerbaijan and entire region, our government is open to all forms of good cooperation. In this regard, we believe that Azerbaijan could offer a useful platform for annual and regular discussion and evaluation of the global mine action. But of course, we do also expect that as a result of this conference, to come up with an idea of establishing global trust fund, supporting the efforts of Azerbaijani government fighting against the mine problem. And we highly appreciate currently the role of the UN institutions, and particularly UNDP Baku office and UN Resident Coordinator office and other colleagues from the UN institutions in this regard, and also organizing this important conference. But of course, as a practical outcome, we will appreciate your views and your suggestions to come up with a global trust fund initiative. Lastly, one of the potential directions for collaboration which necessitates more coordinated action in awareness raising at international level. We believe that joining our efforts in carrying out information campaigns and helping to draw international community's attention to specific mine issues such as can be a serious step forward in contributing long-term recovery and development efforts in war-affected states around the world. I also today appreciate that in our gathering we have an sectorial participation, including the civil society institutions, NGOs, journalists are also contributing our part of this process, and we appreciate their role in raising the awareness of the mine problems. To conclude my thoughts, I would like to reiterate that today collective action is required more than ever to maximize the positive dynamics of mine action in achieving United Nations 2030 agenda and translate our shared vision into measurable and tangible change. In this regard, Azerbaijan is committed to working with the mine action community to meet with demands, both through improving its national capacities and offering platforms for cooperation. I once again wish all success to this conference, and I also thank you particularly to our foreign participants making this travel to Azerbaijan, and wish also success. Thank you.